Today I bring you two very dark, real-life cases. A couple who met on Roblox decided to meet face-to-face, and the ending was fatal. And a player who never thought that while he was playing, someone would break into his house to rob him. The first case starts with a boy named Santiago telling it to us, who was the victim's best friend. Santiago is quite traumatized right now and tells us that he feels a lot of guilt for not having been able to stop what happened. He starts by telling us that his friend's name was Damian. Damian was a super normal boy. He was 14 years old. He liked playing soccer and going out on his bicycle. But everything changed when, during the winter break of 2023, Damian broke a leg. Since he couldn't leave the house, he was extremely bored. Santiago, to cheer him up, recommended that he download Roblox so they could play together. At first, Damian didn't like it much. He said they were games for little kids. But little by little, he got hooked. Santiago and Damian spent hours playing Arsenal, Jailbreak, and above all, roleplay games. They would stay up until 3 or 4 in the morning on a Discord call, laughing and trolling people. The truth is that everything seemed quite fun and normal, like any pair of friends having a good time. But community? This is where things start to get disturbing. One day, Santiago couldn't connect because he had to study for an exam, so Damian went in to play Brookhaven alone. Santiago tells us that the next day, Damian was very strange, but at the same time, excited. He told him that he had met a girl in the game. Her username was Princessa. Yes, community, with that name, you can already imagine that something wasn't right. But well, Damian told Santiago that she was different, that she had an emo-style avatar with that severed leg that tryhards use a lot, and that she was a multi-millionaire in the game. She had the premium pass, the luxury house, all the cars, and she gave him gifts. They started role-playing as boyfriend and girlfriend. Damian was the bad boy, and she was the millionaire girl who fell in love with him. At first, Santiago took it as a joke. He would tell him, "Bro, it's probably a 40-year-old man in a basement." But Damian would get angry. He would get truly angry, community. He told him no, that she had sent him photos, that she was real, and that she was his same age. Damian started to change a lot. He didn't want to play other games anymore. He only wanted to be in Brookhaven, tucked away in the house with Princessa. They spent hours sitting on the in-game sofa, writing things to each other in the chat, or using the kissing animations. Santiago tried to join them to mess around or play, but as soon as Santiago entered the house, the girl would ban him from the house or tell Damian to kick him out. And the worst part is that Damian listened to her. He would tell his own best friend, "Go away, Santi, we are in a private moment." Community, this is already toxic level maximum, but wait, it gets worse. A few weeks passed and Damian barely spoke to Santiago in real life anymore, not even through WhatsApp. He only lived to connect to Roblox. His parents were worried because Damian wouldn't leave his room even to eat well. Santiago, concerned, decided to create a fake girl account to see what they were doing. He used the name like Sophia Cute 22 and entered the server where Damian was. He found them in the pool area of Brookhaven. Santiago approached with his fake account and just said, "Hi." At that moment, this Princessa went crazy. She started typing in the chat in all caps, screaming, "Who is this? Why is she talking to you, Damian? Tell her to leave or we're over." Damian, instead of defending himself, started asking for forgiveness desperately in the chat, saying, "Love, I don't know her. I swear, block her." Guys, imagine the level of manipulation this girl had over Damian. Santiago was left shocked, seeing how his friend humiliated himself for a video game character. One day, Damian wrote to Santiago again. He was very nervous. He told him, "Bro, she wants to meet me." Santiago told him no, that he was crazy, that it was extremely dangerous. But Damian told him that she had confessed that she lived near his same city, only an hour or so away by bus. He told him her name was Vanessa and that she wanted to see him in a park near an abandoned industrial zone, supposedly because she was embarrassed to be surrounded by people the first time. Guys, all the red flags in the world were there, Santiago begged him not to go. He told him it could be a kidnapper. But Damian was blinded. He said he loved her, that she was the love of his life, and that nobody understood them. Damian blocked Santiago that same afternoon so he wouldn't keep insisting. The day of the meeting arrived. It was a Tuesday afternoon. Damian told his parents he was going to Santiago's house to study, but it was a lie. Santiago knows this because the police told him later. Damian took the bus and went toward that industrial zone. The last that was known of him was a story he uploaded to Instagram Close Friends, where only his feet were visible, walking along a dirt path full of rubble, with the text, "Finally, my princess." Santiago saw the story and got a horrible, bad feeling. He tried to call Damian, but the phone was turned off. He called Damian's house, and the mother told him she thought he was with him. That was when Santiago panicked and told Damian's parents everything. They called the police immediately. It took the police a few hours to track the location of Damian's phone. When they arrived at the site, community, the scene was terrible. It was an abandoned factory, very far from the city. In the basement of that place, they found Damian's body. I'm not going to give many details because it is very graphic and YouTube would delete the video. But let's just say that what they did to him wasn't fast. The darkest part is that on the wall, written with something red that you can already imagine what it is, was Damian's Roblox username and a smiley face next to it. The police investigated, but they didn't find anyone else's fingerprints. It was someone who knew what they were doing. It was never known if it really was a girl or if Santiago's joke about it being a man was real. Now let's move on to the next one. Community. This case reached the inbox just a few days ago, and I swear it left me with a terrible feeling. Kevin writes to us, a 16-year-old boy who lives in a supposedly safe residential area. Kevin starts the email by telling us something that stuck with me. I never thought that what saved me from boredom would be what almost killed me. Kevin tells us that this happened last summer, in August 2023, during that unbearable heat wave. He is a pretty quiet kid, the type who prefers to stay home gaming rather than going out to sweat in the street. His obsession at that time was Roblox, specifically that horror game called Doors. You know, that game where you have to open doors, hide in closets, and, above all, listen. Sound is key. That's why Kevin played with high-end, noise-canceling headphones, the kind you put on and the outside world disappears completely. That night, Kevin's parents had an anniversary dinner and told him they would be back late, around 3 a.m. Kevin was happy. House to himself, air conditioning, which unfortunately had broken down that morning, and a free pass to scream if a jump scare got him. Since the AC wasn't working and it was deathly hot, Kevin made the mistake that almost cost him his life. He opened his bedroom window wide. His room is on the first floor, but it overlooks a very dark backyard. He thought, nobody's going to climb up here. You'd have to be crazy. Community, spoiler, there was someone crazy enough. It was 2 a.m. The house was in total silence, in the dark. Kevin was in his chair, lit only by the glow of the monitor and the red LED lights of his mechanical keyboard. He was at door 50, that tense part in the library where you have to crouch and not make any noise. He was so concentrated, with the volume at maximum to hear the footsteps of the entity in the game, that he totally lost track of reality. He tells us he was sweating, not just because of the game, but because of the heat coming through the window. But guys, this is where things get truly dark. At one point, the game has a dark loading screen, almost black. It was there, in that second of visual silence, where Kevin saw something reflected in his monitor that made his blood run cold. Behind him, right in the frame of his closet door, there was a silhouette. It wasn't a shadow, people. It was a person. Before Kevin could turn around, process what was happening, or take off his headphones, he felt a blunt blow to the back of his neck, and a giant hand with a leather glove covered his mouth with brutal force. Kevin tried to scream, but the guy squeezed his jaw so hard he felt like it was going to dislocate. Suddenly, he felt the cold edge of a knife pressed against his neck, right below his ear. A raspy, disgusting voice whispered in his ear, If you move or scream, you'll bleed yourself out. Guys, imagine the terror. Kevin in his pajamas, with his headphones still on, playing the Roblox waiting music, immobilized by a stranger in his own home. The guy spun him around violently and threw him to the floor. It was then that Kevin saw it wasn't just one, there were two. The second man was wearing a balaclava and was ransacking the whole room like an animal, throwing drawers, looking for money or anything of value, whatever it was. The most terrifying thing is that Kevin hadn't heard them come in. They had climbed through the open window. They had been standing there in the darkness of his room, watching him play for who knows how long, laughing at him while he got scared by fake monsters, not knowing that the real monsters were 3 feet behind his back. The thieves were very nervous. They seemed drugged or desperate. The one with the knife put his knee on Kevin's chest and started demanding, "Where is the safe? We know your old man keeps the money here." Kevin was crying. He couldn't speak from the panic. He just shook his head. The thief became enraged and hit him with the handle of the knife on his eyebrow, splitting it open. Blood started running down into his eye, blinding him. "Don't lie, brat. Tell us where it is or we'll cut off a finger." Community. This was no longer a robbery. It was torture. Kevin thought he was going to die right there, bleeding out on his rug while his Roblox character remained AFK on the screen. The other thief, the one searching, found Kevin's school backpack and pulled out his wallet. There was only $10 and a library card. Furious, he grabbed the PC monitor, yes, the monitor Kevin was playing on, and smashed it against the floor. The noise was thunderous, but no one on the street heard a thing. The room was left in darkness, lit only by a small flashlight they were carrying. In the middle of the chaos, Kevin, gathering strength from nowhere, lied to them. He told them his parents kept the money in the kitchen freezer on the ground floor. He just wanted to get them out of his room, away from him. The guys looked at each other. The one with the knife said to the other, "You go down, I'll stay with the kid. If there's nothing there, you come back up and we finish this." Community, that phrase, "we finish this." Kevin knew what it meant. The second thief ran down the stairs. Kevin was left alone with the aggressor, who was pointing the flashlight in his face, blinding him. But then, a miracle happened. A glow of car lights was seen sweeping across the bedroom walls. It was Kevin's parents. They had come back early because they wanted to continue the anniversary at home. The engine was heard in the driveway and the sound of the garage door opening. The thief downstairs came running back up, tripping on the steps. "They're here! The old folks are coming! Let's go! Run!" The guy guarding Kevin hesitated. For a second, Kevin saw in his eyes the intention to hurt him before leaving, so he couldn't identify them. It was the longest moment of Kevin's life. Finally, the thief spat in his face, gave him a kick in the ribs that knocked all the air out of him, and ran toward the window. The two jumped into the backyard and disappeared into the darkness of the night, just as Kevin's mother was heard shouting from downstairs, "Kevin, are you awake?" Kevin couldn't answer. He was on the floor in a fetal position, clutching his ribs and shaking uncontrollably. When his father came up and saw him covered in blood, with the room destroyed, he almost had a heart attack. They called the police and an ambulance. Kevin was lucky. Stitches in his eyebrow, cracked ribs, and brutal psychological trauma, but he was alive. The police investigated the case, and here comes the darkest fact. They said the two criminals had been planning the robbery for approximately a week. That day, Kevin lived through a hell that left him traumatized. If you like these videos, subscribe, comment, like, and leave your hype.